Could everyone please stop walking in front of my horse? It's really annoying. It will be like a green light in the street, and people will be standing in the middle of the street in front of my horse, not moving. See him coming, not moving. Now, horses, I'm going to show you here. Horses always have the right of way. Goes horses, people, bicycles, then cars. Sorry, I was like, am I missing one? I mean, there's like scooters and everything else. Scooters, bicycles, all in one. A lot of people don't know this or don't care. It's just kind of a sensibility. I can ask my horse to stop, but it's his choice. He does not understand. So there are emergency situations where we might have to go through a red light. We are legally allowed to do what is safest for the horse in an emergency. So that means occasionally breaking certain traffic violations that we normally would have to follow sometimes. Now in the park, we don't have traffic coming through anymore, not since 2018, and there are still some traffic signals up. And with those, because we're doing a tour that is timed, and because no one else can come through the intersections as far as like bicycles and cars go, and we are going very slow, so you can't really call it running a red light. If not a lot of people are waiting across the street or something, we usually are using that more like a yield. You know, police officers don't seem to have an issue with this. They are traffic enforcers. It gets a little bit frustrating when people don't understand that. Sometimes there is a reason that someone else does not see that I feel it would be safer to keep my horse moving rather than stopping at a certain light and having him overthink something that he's going to react to. People don't realize this. There are subtle signs within horses that we are always on the lookout for. And there is a reason behind everything we are doing with our horses. We're not just trying to be dicks to you. Like, this is something that like you don't understand that we do, that you are misreading us doing. We are not just like, I mean, you know what? Horses are like pretty slow. Like, why would you walk in front of the horse that is walking? Like, you wouldn't do that if a car was rolling through a light. Like, you would walk behind the car, right? Like, why would you just try to catch up and go in front of the horse and argue? And it's just like a minute more out of your day, maybe, not even. I mean, a few seconds, honestly. But it does get really frustrating. And also, the toughest part about what our horses do, although the job is pretty easy, is the stopping and starting. You know, if you have momentum when you are, you know, pulling a carriage or pushing your weight into it and it's rolling behind you. And why would you want to make things harder for my horse when you can just wait 2 seconds to cross the road or walk in front of him in the middle of the street like you like to do? Also, which I have mentioned a few times, if there is a green light that we start to go through, but our horse is not fast enough to make it through while it's still green, and it turns yellow or red before we make it through the second crosswalk on the other side, when we've started when it's green, we are able to finish that legally. We can finish crossing the road. You are not supposed to walk in front of us just because you see a walk signal. We have started making our way through. You should let us make our way through. You are supposed to. And that also gets pretty annoying, and that also turns into people falsely accusing us of going through red lights. It's a lot different with a horse. And there was this group, Blue Star Equiculture, who was a horse rescue retirement home, the official retirement home for New York City Carriage horses, and they actually sadly got shut down because animal rights extremists were just harassing them too much. And unfortunately, we now have to spend a lot of time seeking out good retirement homes for our horses. And it's a tough process because we don't want them in the hands of these animal rights extremists, and we don't want them in the hands of someone who's not going to take good care of them. And we don't want them to end up somewhere we don't want them ending up. So there's a whole process for it. But anyway, Blue Star Equiculture had these bumper stickers that I used to have in my car that said, share the road, horses pave the way. And they did. You know, roads were paved with asphalt for horses. It came out before the automobile. And horses would do work that paved those roads. Horses paved them through work of pulling and, you know, pulling tools and equipment over them and lugging in, materials, and now, you should be able to share the road with everybody else because the horses were here first and these roads are for them. And at the end of every day, especially busy days, I am just so frustrated with the amount of people who have walked in front of my horse. And I if it's not an emergency, I'm not going to short stop him suddenly and, yank on his mouth and have to stop like it's an emergency because you insisted on walking right in front of him. Of course, if a little child that doesn't know any better runs in front of him in an emergency, yes, I'm going to stop my horse. My horse does listen to me very well. I really do my best to try to make sure I have a good bond with my horse, that he is going to do what I ask of him every time. But still, he still has a mind of his own. And you can't override these things, that this is, you just try to make your best relationship with your horse and you make things easiest on them. Why are the rest of you making my life so hard? So I do keep that big poster on my carriage that horses always have the right of way. Always, because although we do typically stop at most lights most of the time, there could be an emergency situation you don't understand why we might be starting that light a little bit early or finishing it a little bit late. And that is actually okay. And I've had traffic cops actually ask me about it. They didn't even know this law. They didn't even know about this. It's just common sense. Please don't walk in front of my horse.